Make sure to subscribe to Derek's Reptile channel. Go show that some love and all that type of stuff because we need good content out there.
Hey you guys, welcome back to the blog. Today we're going to talk about live feedings. Are they ethical and okay to do? Or are they going to be the reason lawmakers take our reptiles from us? Today I'm going to share my opinion on the topic, and if your opinion is different, that's fine. I don't knock you for it. This is America and that's your right. But hey, I don't have all the answers.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers. You ain't.
Before we get into the topic, let's talk about snakes. As a responsible pet owner, it's your job to set up your snake and get his enclosure as natural as you can get it, if that makes sense. You want it as close as to where he lives in the wild in his enclosure in your home. And I'll give you an example. So if you were to go out and buy a ball python, you're not going to put repti carpet in that snake's enclosure because it's not natural. Repti carpet doesn't hold humidity. Second off, ball pythons don't live on repti carpet in the wild. So why would you do that to them in your home? The appropriate thing to do is to go out and get a certain type of substrate, coconut husk, mulch, something that's going to hold humidity and replicate what that ball python lives on in the wild. And the reason we're talking about keeping your snake as close to nature as possible, because that ties in into the live feeding argument. In the wild, can a snake go to a restaurant and order a frozen thawed mouse? No, he can't. There's nowhere for a ball python to get a frozen thawed mouse. It's just not going to happen. Snakes hunt live prey. They're born to do it. It's just a part of nature. And this is the reason that I support live feeds, because it's natural. It's as close to nature as you're going to get. Now, if you're doing live feedings and you're doing it in an educational way, I support that. Even if you're not doing it in an educational way, if you just want to entertain people, kind of like National Geographic, you want to show people what happens in the wild. As long as you have a disclaimer and you're like, hey, this is what happens in the wild, I want to show it to you, then I support you doing live feedings. But if you're filming a live feeding and you're titling it, Mouse Gets Murdered, Constricted and Squeezed to Death till his eyeballs pop out of his head, if you put that as a title, you're a psycho and you shouldn't be doing live feedings. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not mad. If your opinion is different than mine, great. I don't bash you for it. That's what being an American is all about. And that is hard to, for me, it's hard for me to knock somebody because they don't feel the same way I do. I just can't do it, If you like frozen thawed, do that. I recommend it. If you like live feedings, do it. There's no problem with it, as long as you're doing it in a respectful way, Live feedings aren't going anywhere, So we got to kind of stop bashing those people that do it. If you're here, comment below. Tell me, do you do live feedings? Do you do frozen thawed? What's your reasoning behind whatever you do? Now, here's the kicker. Do I get behind the argument of saying that lawmakers are going to take our reptiles because we live feed? Absolutely not. I won't start something because if you start it, it's going to snowball. Where would that argument stop? Because the first argument would be live feedings. If you live feed, the government's going to take our animals. Next, it would be, if you play with venomous snakes, the government's gonna take our animals. Next, it would be if you don't have the proper equipment, you could lose your animals. Oh, if you have too many in your home, you could lose your animals. You know, where would the argument stop, if that makes sense? So I don't even want to start it, you know? I guess I just feel like there's so many other things that we could be focusing on that would benefit our animals, you know? Instead of bashing people for live feeding, you know, let's focus on, you know, husbandry issues, you know? Let's teach people how to, you know, keep their snakes enclosures clean, you know? That's going to benefit your snake, you know? Let's talk to people about, you know, vets and showing them where the best vets are. It's just so many other things we could be talking about instead of live feedings, because live feedings aren't going to stop. If you don't live feed in your home, does that mean that the snakes in the wild are going to stop live feeding? No, they're a part of the snake culture, if that makes sense. So I don't know. This is Derek's Reptiles. I appreciate you for watching. If you're here, click that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's have a healthy dialogue. I think that the reptile community would benefit from a lot of healthy dialogue. And I don't mean arguing. I mean in a respectful way, you know. Comment below. Comment. Interact with me. I love interacting with my subscribers. If you do live feedings, tell me. If you do frozen thaw, tell me. If the government got you scared and got you up at night, tell me, you know, I'll calm you down, you know. Interact with me. I love my subscribers. This is Derek's Reptiles. I appreciate you for watching. Peace.